Welcome back. This is Pairs While Knitting. I'm Jennifer, and this is a knitting podcast all about knitting, yarn adventures, and travel. Thank you very much for joining me today. And as always, thrilled that you're here. Thank you for coming. We are going to be sharing everything that is on my needles, off my needles, or to bounce onto my needles. This is a more traditional style knitting podcast, finished objects, whips, and a new cast on. I'm also going to be sharing hand knit items that I am getting rid of. I'm going to be making a donation to the Knitting Loft. They are based here out of Toronto, and so generously the owners Bruna and Maria do a fundraiser day. This is happening December 7th. It's called the Sadie's Winters Market. This is a fundraiser for the Humane Society. I'll get into some of the information because I'm hoping to post this video before, so if you're in the area, you can join or perhaps figure out how to make a donation. So get comfy and cozy and we will bounce right in. We will start off with what I'm wearing, as I always do. Today I'm wearing the plug and play slipover. This is designed by myself. I came out with this, I think, a couple years ago, and offers a very simple but effective vest to design, in my opinion. And I love the features in this vest. This is, of course, all flat knitting. It's almost like a bib or apron-like style where you cast on at the back and you create your back piece of fabric with some chunky ribbing at the bottom. You then pick up at the shoulders and knit forward in general to your ribbing. You then pick up your neckline, and there's some interesting design features to get the side seam clean and finished and really crisp without having to pick up additional stitches and create more fabric. It's all in the pattern. If you're interested, check it out in the link below. Of course, there's side taps to connect the front and back piece of the vest or slipover. I find this vest is just such an easy wear. It offers warmth, of course, on the front and back, but with the airy sides, not overly hot. And chunky yarn, so it really knits up quite quickly. Check it out. The link is in the show notes. There's details on the Ravelry page, along with some samples. So yeah, thanks for checking that out. I'm gonna get into my Pride and Joy finished object, and so happy about it. I've been wearing it often in the last couple weeks. This is a sweater that you will have seen if you've been here for a bit, that I've cast on since my time on the island in August during my island stay in Nova Scotia. This is sweater number 29 by My Favorite Things Knitwear, and it's just absolutely stunning. I knit this with one strand of a Norwegian yarn called the Norsk Vilso yarn. This is by Hillesvåg, and was one of the yarns that I picked up while at the mill. So it's very special, very meaningful. And I couldn't have been happier with the outcome. Features of this sweater, of course, are a very simple cable. In my memory, it's a 3x3 cable, if I'm not mistaken. It's been a bit now. And then of course you have your purl stitches that allow for those cables to pop, as we know as knitters, and if you've done cables before, that's often the case. So the pattern repeat is really simple because I think you're repeating like every 10th row. So really easy to follow, but the construction of it is just a stunner. It has these saddle shoulders that I've talked about before, but as a finished object, I'll just go into a bit more detail. You actually cast on and create almost a swatch, if you will, to create these like shoulder areas, the shoulder cap, I was calling it. There's saddle shoulders that I've knit. They're knit all around. This one are almost like plates, shoulder plates that you're using as anchors. You pick up at the back and you knit down with some short row shaping. There's a lot going on in the beginning because you're getting used to the pattern with the row repeats and the short row shaping, of course. You knit flat, of course, until your underarm, and then you pick up and do the front with the neckline and knit down, joining the round. there we are. You then pick up your stitches at that shoulder panel and of course all around the underarm and arm to get your sleeve beginning. In my memory, I think there is short row shaping to happen for the sleeve cap or shoulder cap as well to just get a really lovely fit. Again, I always find when I'm doing short row shaping, I have to be super minds on. And this was happening in the subway, so there was some interesting business that happened. And then you pick up for the neckline, and it's a double folded neckline that I feel like I've just knit very cleanly and tidily. And then I've sewn it down. Let me talk about that for a second. So when I picked up my stitches, some of the mods I did on the sweater were a lot less stitches picked up on the neckline. I think I picked up like 2/3 of what the recommended quantity were, just because I like a tighter neckline that hugs in and doesn't seem to like pull away and down with gravity. I like it looking like crisp and fresh and clean, and it allows when I'm wearing blouses to have those come out and look, I think, lovely with the different contrast of texture and material. Another mod I did was I started out with the smallest size for the bust circumference according to the pattern, but then I was finding, because my gauge was slightly off as it usually is, I ended up casting on 10 stitches at the underarm instead of, I think it was like a 1 recommendation by the pattern. So by the time I ended up having the circumference of the total of the body when I'm knitting in the round, that became a size small, if that makes sense. So it's a kind of a combination between the extra small and small size, or the size 1 and size 2. Other than that, I followed pattern. The other thing that I did or changed were the cuffs. The cuffs, I think there was a recommendation to decrease the quantity of stitches before the knit and purl, and I didn't. I wanted it a little more chunky. In hindsight, I thought the yarn would pull out more after blocking, so it would become even more parallel, and it doesn't look like it's so much in the video, maybe a little bit, where instead of being parallel, it kind of flares out slightly from the cable fabric to the knit and purl. So what I would say is follow the pattern if you want the design feature of how the sleeve looks, because mine isn't as lovely as it could be. Other than that, I am thrilled with how this looks. My favorite feature, of course, and this is why I chose the specific pattern, is the adjacent cabling that happens in the body, the front and back, to that shoulder panel that is just stunning, and I love that direction. I also adore how these cables from the shoulder panel, so that saddle shoulder, continue on after you pick up your stitches. It couldn't be dreamier. The yarn itself has just blooms fabulously. It feels so good on. It's quite heavy, I'd say, and I did use, I think I used every skein of yarn that I had. This was 5 skeins that I had purchased from Hillesvåg, and I didn't have much left over. There was a little moment of panic where I thought, if I run out before I get to the neckline, this could be a problem. But thank goodness we were okay, and it worked out perfectly. So that is sweater number 29 by My Favorite Things Knitwear in Norsk Vilso by Hillesvåg, and in the best color too. I'll include the colorway in the show notes along with everything that I talk about today, and you can click and check it out. My next object that I'm going to share is I'll share the new cast on in a second. I'll just show you with where I am, which I think may be the same spot with my Anne Wenzel sweater. This is a diamond jumper. I think I may have been in the same spot. I think I may have dabbled slightly in a couple more rows, but not too many. This is a beautiful raglan sweater with I think a 12 row repeat of a diamond design, and it's just stunning. The other cable sweater was definitely getting my time. This sweater I had technically cast on before I went to the island, but because it's a lot more minds on, I'm finding with the 12-row repeat hasn't been getting my knitting time as much because I have to have the chart with me at all times. I haven't memorized it yet. I'm knitting that in Gilead by Durera Natura. And I'm also not motivated by the color particularly. I think I might have mentioned that on the my last episode when I was chatting about this. It is a beautiful gray color, and I think on some people this is stunning, but I think on me it's not my color, so I'm not as motivated. Whereas these really warm natural colors, I find just make my face look brighter and fresher. When I'm using cool colors, it just kind of lies flat. So also, you know, we'll see where this goes, and I'm hoping to give it some time, but this is more of a home knit now to where I am on the with the pattern. So that's my diamond jumper by Unravelled. My next object that I'm going to share with you is a whip, and this just came onto my needles, I want to say on Saturday of last week, so it's been 6 days. I'm still working, it's been interview week, it's been a lot of things going on, and you know, fun social things too. I've cast on the Treysta by, who's this by? Jennifer Steingass, and is a really beautiful but simple color work sweater I've had in my queue and have purchased quite a while ago. She has sales every so often for her patterns, and I purchased it during one of her sales, and because I knew I wanted to make it, but I hadn't purchased yarn. Purchased yarn from the Knitting Loft during their last sale. It was their anniversary sale, and cast on. And couldn't be happier. I'll try to find where the front is. Oh, here we go. There we are. Are we not the most stunning yoke? This I knit in the recommended yarn. This is cast-ons, and is a very rustic Icelandic yarn that I have just raved about. It's one of my absolute favorite yarns. This is a single ply spun yarn. You can already see the, you know, the big guard hairs that happen with this kind of yarn. It's the Icelandic sheep, and I am adoring it. This is a 4-color work yoke. So I have like a navy color I'm working with, a rust orange, a cream to white, and then a brown. And the pattern design is just so simple. This is my jam for color work because it's all symmetrical stitches that are happening. So if you chop it up in half on one side and the other side, it mirrors. And that is perfect for the way my brain operates, because I find it's really rhythmic. I can memorize it really easily. I get through like 2 repeats of that row and I'm good as gold. I've been knitting this. This has only been on my commute knits on the subway, and very doable. This is also why I made a printout copy, because all I do, well, I guess I can't show you the chart, but all I do is I flip to the chart. I have a quick boo to see where I am. I fold this back up, I put it into my bag, and I get knitting. I will share just a tidbit of how I'm doing my color work, and you'll see like there's actually 3 strands of color right now, which isn't often. Most of the pattern is 2 colors, so it sounds overwhelming with 3 right now. There's like just a handful of rows with 3. Is what I do is I pick the 2 most common colors, or if it's only 2, and all I do is I wrap them on my finger like this, and then, sorry, I've got my little stitch stoppers on here, my tulip stitch stoppers, and all I do is I'm going through my stitch, and I think they call it picking. All I do is pick my colors, so I'm just literally like choosing which color I need for that stitch. To me, it couldn't be easier, and it's so satisfying to like watch that color work or that yoke come up and so quickly. I was hideously terrible at color work before, but since I've discovered a way that works for me with this picking method and just like throwing it over my finger like no big deal. It's amazing. When I have more than 2 colors, it sounds crazy complicated. Again, it's honestly not when I'm doing my picking because I have my 2 main colors on my first finger. I leave my 3rd tail of color hanging, and when I need it, all I do is I lift it up from the back, and then I choose that, I bring it back down, and I pick up my other 2 main colors. I feel like it shouldn't be a knitting secret, and I feel like probably people that do color work probably use this kind of method often, because I feel like when I was getting into color work and struggling with color work, people were making it sound really complicated. There's like a color work ring people use. People are using 2 hands to be knitting. Like, that's way too complicated for me. I want to simplify. I want to make it fun. I want to make it enjoyable. And this absolutely is. The reason why I've stopped is because my secondary color, which is that rust orange, so it's all the bordering color, I am running out. What I've done is I originally was going to go with the size 1 of the pattern, but when I cast on, the neckline looked crazy small. I went up to a size 2, which I never do. And this is why now I need an additional ball. I did reread the pattern, and it did say for the second color that you're using in the border, you need 2 balls of Let Low Be. I have 1. So we're going to the Knitting Loft this Sunday, and I will pick up a ball then, which I hope they have the colorway of. Actually, I didn't look. So that's the hope. As I'm talking about the Knitting Loft, let's get into what I'm going to be donating for this Sadie's Winters Market. Just to preface, this is a fundraiser that the gorgeous owners of the Knitting Loft do annually. All the proceeds go to the Humane Society of Toronto. I don't know if there's a way of donating if you are not physically in the city or not attending the market, but you can probably reach out to Bruna Maria if you want to make a donation, or directly even to the Toronto Humane Society itself, or donate to a Humane Society in your area. What they do is they collect for about a month handmade items. This includes different textiles, so like knitting, sewing, weaving. And then you come to this event. They're having this event December 7th up at the Knitting Loft. That's a Sunday. And you can peruse all the Me Made makes that people have produced and donated for this fundraiser. The prices are so exceptional. I bought, I think, like 6 sweaters last year. From my memory, I think the sweaters were $30 each. That's incredible. And I think who else is going to enjoy Me Made makes like us makers? And I still wear these sweaters all the time. I've shown them on the channel, of course. I've worn them during the knitting podcast. And so I feel like I want to give back, of course. These are garments that are not on high rotation for me, or almost no rotation. So I feel really confident in providing them to this fundraiser. Of course, it's going to a great cause, but I don't think I'm going to regret missing them in my life, even though each stitch has a memory and a meaning. The very first item that I'm going to be donating is my only test knit I have ever done. It is a sweater, sadly, that just doesn't get anywhere. I think I've worn it twice in the entire time that I've had it. Nothing to do with the designer intent. I think it was literally maybe my yarn choice and color choice. Again, it's this cool color that I just feel does not resonate well with my skin tone. This is the Gazmer Twist Light Sweater. This is a design by Kadri. Again, I test knit this and followed the design and pattern. It's a very simple raglan sweater with a twisted rib. I did Italian bind off, which I never do. So you can tell this is in my earlier days of knitting. You cast on at the top and knit towards the bottom ribbing. This was in an interesting yarn by Rowan. I don't remember the name of it offhand. If I can find it, I'll put in the show notes. It's very mohairy. It is really beautiful, and I think on the right person and coloring, it could look stunning. It doesn't on me, and that's why she's going to the donation at the Knitting Loft. My next item that I'm donating is a sweater that I created eons ago. Maybe it was my third sweater, my fourth sweater. This was, I followed the Darling J'adore sweater. This was one of the first sweaters that I had made. I'm just seeing if I think it was called the Weekend. Yes, the Weekend sweater. It's a double knit rib, twisted rib actually, collar. Really simple raglan. This is, but I added a little cable on the side, which is a crazy tight little repeated cable. It's cute. It's not my favorite. And again, the color does not sing with my skin tone. The short rows were garbage. So I am donating this. I hope the person, if someone chooses the sweater, that, you know, maybe they'll wear a nice scarf over the front, or, you know, happy if they want to rip this apart, of course, and use the yarn. The yarn is beautiful. This is 2 strands. It is 1 strand of knitting for olive in a cream colorway, and then like a rose pink. It's their merino fingering. Anyway, so even this for the yarn, someone could take that and still be sitting very pretty with a cost-effective way of knitting a new sweater. I then have vest number 1 by My Favorite Things Knitwear. This is a sweater, sorry, I should say a vest that I'm actually considering knitting again. The design is great and classic, but then the yarn choice is not my favorite. The color's great. It was a Debbie Bliss something rather, maybe, I don't know. It's a very like flimsy, elasticy type yarn. I bought this from Romney Wool, which was a knitting shop on Queen, and it was in like their, I don't know, sales area in the basement. I've never liked the yarn, and I have worn it a number of times. It's pilling, it's not my favorite. Again, to the right owner, they could depill it. It could look really nice on them. It might be a superwash, and maybe that's why I don't like it, because it's got a funny feel to it. So that's getting donated. Another donation I'm making, I've got bags beside me, is this. This was my own freestyling. I love the color, but there are things that I don't enjoy, and I don't think I've ever worn this. This is like a t-shirty design with an open, airy lace increase on the sides of the raglan. Things I don't enjoy about this sweater is, 1, it's a sock yarn. It's a DK sock yarn, so there's a bit of a synthetic in it. The colorway I remember is called Cayenne, and I was really excited about it. But again, I don't think I ever got wear on it. And I did decreases to allow for the waist to cinch in. I think again, on the right person, it could look lovely. And I believe, yes, I have one flaw there, and that drives me crazy. So this is getting donated as well. I freestyled this one. I hope it goes to a good home, or it can be harvested for the yarn. That's totally fine. Another thing that I'm donating is a little micro shawl. This was a mix of, from what I visually saw, like the Sophie scarf and a mix of Le Bandana from La Bien-Aimée. This was like, I can't even remember the hand dyer that I picked up. This was 1 skein of like a DK super wash, again, yarn from Unit here in Toronto. The color is okay for spring. It doesn't sit the way I want it to. This curls and buckles a bit, and the superwash does not do anything for me. It's got some weird elasticy bit to it. Again, I think this is some people's jam. It's not mine. I'm a rustic girl. So there we are. These mittens are getting donated. They are hand knit, but not by me. I picked these up from Value Village eons ago, and they're super cute. But I just don't wear them. They're a simple design. Oh gosh, there's a little hole. I might have to mend that before I give them away. And a little color work piece here. They're cute, but I don't know. I'm not really feeling it on these ones. Is that weird? Maybe I could felt them. See, this is what I do. I'm like, I consider keeping them, and then I'm like, no, this is silly. I shouldn't do this. So these are possibly getting donated. Again, I'm not sure about the hole, if that's appropriate to donate or not. I'll have to consider that. My next item that I'm donating is, there's 2 pieces. This is going back to the donation. This hat I picked up last year at the fundraiser and love the color, love the yarn, but the fit I don't love. So I think it might be going back. It's got this weird kind of like tip happening. I've worn it a couple times, but each time I second guess about the structure. See how it's a weird little structure. I think again, someone could really enjoy it. I don't, and I don't get wear out of it, and I don't have room. So that's going into the fundraiser. I have one of my sample knits of the broken rib hat that I designed. This is the Bellwoods beanie, Bellwoods toque, Bellwoods hat. This is in 2 strands held double of 4 garn, Volgon by Hillesvåg, and it's cute, but I had knit it in a totally different needle. I wasn't paying attention, so I tried to felt it, and so it's a super cozy hat. I have like 4 Bellwoods hats, so I don't need this one as well. Beautiful colorway, and so that's going, a felted one. Could be super cozy for somebody. My next item is a cowl that I made very early on. I remember driving or getting driven to New York City. And so this is interesting, but could be easily harvested for the yarn. It is a moss stitch cowl. It is tighter at the top than at the bottom. The size is all wrong for me. It's really big. It looks cute on, but it's just too bulky. So that's going to the donation. I have, oh goodness, I didn't share this. I have so many things. This is sweater number, I think 7 by My Favorite Things Knitwear. Beautiful design. I've knit this a couple times. It's got an interesting raglan detail. The yarn I do not like. It's very pulley. It's what's the word? Elasticy again. This is, gosh, what is this? This is a natural alpaca by either like Barocco or Estelle. I think it's Estelle yarn, and is not my favorite. I also didn't follow patterns. So this is when I was into cinching the waist, and I decreased at the waist to give it a different shape. I was really liking that feature. I don't anymore. I like a straight sweater. So that is going into the donation. I think this one will sell. I think that's the highlight of what I'm giving away. My second, or sorry, I should say my, I'll show this one. I gotta get going. I have a dentist appointment. I'm trying to go quickly. Then I have this ridiculous thing. This is a crazy big Sophie shawl that I made from yarn that I've had for eons. Can you see this? From We Are Knitters. This was like a yarn kit I got before I was even starting to knit. I was, I wanted to knit a sweater. I did. I ripped it out. I made this thing thinking, oh, this is going to be great and cozy. It's weighs 1,000,000 pounds and is very unwearable. Again, this can be harvested for the yarn. It's a beautiful knitting piece. It just doesn't make sense. So that's going. And the last item that I'm kind of on the fence about because it has beautiful meaning, but I never wear it because of the color, is this. This is a design by Stainless Garn. This is found in the Suffer Women Stainless Garn booklet. It's a simple raglan, really nice design, oversized. I knit this in Hairsfield Design Highland wool. So I love the wool. The color I don't love, again, it's like a cold blue. I knit this while I was in Nova Scotia on sabbatical, so it has a lot of meaning, and it's a stunning sweater. I'm very happy with how it worked out, but not for me. So that's going as well. And I think that is what I'm donating. That is what I'm donating. And I'm gonna feel good about getting rid of it out of my house because I'm tiny living, and that it's going towards charity. I think this is great. People, if they're purchasing the items, I hope they're happy to wear them or rip them out and use the yarn. Obviously, that is a great intention of that. Thank you very much for being here today. I hope you enjoyed what I shared with my knits, with my donations. I hope this has inspired you to think outside of just what you're making for yourself, and perhaps to review what is in your knitted wardrobe and maybe consider giving them away to someone who would really appreciate and wear them. If you're interested in making a donation to a Humane Society near you, I've included the link to the Toronto Humane Society in the show notes below, just for fun. Just, you know, we're getting near the holiday season, people get a little more givey then. Of course, a link to the Knitting Loft if you maybe want to go through them to figure things out, or donate to some local, you know, lovely charity where you are. Thank you for being here. I wish you the best and greatest joy in your knitting, and until next time, take care.